We are only beginning to understand what was uncovered on this dig. I welcome you. The Tolteca team unsealed a burial chamber we thought. But this was no burial chamber. This was no tomb. It was a vault. It was a message. Inside of this sealed area, you're going to see items that defy history as we know it. Digging on private land, what started out as a septic tank dig turned into a large cache of items here back in March. As they went to dig another hole to put in the septic tank, they found a pyramid sticking through the ground. You may have seen our video regarding this, as we're showing now. They pulled these out of the ground, and multiple lab tests are being done on these pieces as we speak. The findings so far are absolutely insane. So they continued with a third hole to try to get to their septic tank. And lo and behold, they found something again. An archway sticking through the ground. Took some time to dig out. As you can see, this is a backyard. The way that this archway is sealed is no ordinary pack. It was deliberately sealed and deliberately buried, but not deliberately buried recently. And we've had numerous scientists and others give opinion, as well as AI look at hundreds and hundreds of pictures of the doorway, the root systems, the dirt, how it's layered, the different layers. And it says this is absolutely something that was done probably between 800 and 1200 years ago. It's an interesting timeline to look at because we have a lot of change that occurred in this area. You know, the pieces that are coming out of the Miko-chan area with an 1825-year date documented by J.J. Benitez in his book Via Thermoluminescence shows an interesting thing that is right after the death of Christ, or the beginning of the AD turn, that we have these tablets being dated that show things of the Virgin of Guadalupe. And now we have this being uncovered here, which shows DNA, angelic looking beings, different gods from around the world, from Egypt, from Samaria. It's a very interesting takeaway. You know, I've been researching this for 5 years, and it seemed like aliens at first. You know, that's why I called it Aliencarvings.com, because it seemed like that's what we were uncovering. You know, we didn't get into the nitty-gritty of the Anunnaki. I had no knowledge of what the Anunnaki really were, other than I'd seen them on a TV show here and there or something, you know, History Channel stuff. Was very, very unfamiliar with the story, and same with the Egyptian story, but it's been something I've been curious about my whole entire life. And so it's really an amazing thing to witness the uncovering of a civilization that existed thousands of years ago in Mesoamerica. And the thing with the amazing part is it's displaying things from other cultures around the world. I always wondered why there was these temples in the Grand Canyon that were of Egyptian name and Hindu name. And I tried to get to the answers of why they were named that. It was not an easy thing. You know, there's who named every part of the Grand Canyon on their website except these type of names, Osiris and Isis. So to see that in the Americas there, to know that some religions found Egyptian tablets in the Americas, supposedly, that there was a second coming in the Americas of the Savior, and to see some of these tablets with just that being depicted on there from 1825 years ago, it makes one wonder what exactly was going on here in Mexico. We see DNA manipulation and genetic manipulation, hybridization, giants. We see intermixing of species via sexual actions, just like it's mentioned in Genesis chapter 6. So it's an interesting relation to some of these ancient stories, and knowing that we actually might be finding evidence of maybe not that actually occurring, but we're seeing evidence of the understanding and knowledge of it that is ancient in America, which brings a whole new wealth of questions about, what actually started these cultures and these pyramids. You go down to Peru, there's 8,000-year-old carbon dates, Corral. There's a pyramid complex down there that it really is just beginning to be looked at, and the data already screams that this is a likeliness of these pyramid builders around the world. And there's pyramids in other countries as well that have been denounced or not looked at very carefully. And I think we're starting to understand that there might be some sort of suppression on the pyramid builders themselves. We wonder why this isn't on the news, why mainstream institutions are scared to touch this. And I mean scared, like they will be shut down if they do this. They will be discredited. They will lose what they've worked for. This is from many, many different establishments from all over the world. When they hear from us and we want to do testing, they'll bring us in. Oh, yes, that's great. Then as soon as they see the items, no, we're not going to do that. It's very interesting. The science has been a major roadblock for us. It's taken me 5 years to get a world-class lab to give us any information at all that was beneficial. There had been carbon dates and different dates done by scientists like Scott Wolter, Nassim Harriman, Klaus Dona, and the results were insane. But it seemed like there was a halt at some point in their research, or the research didn't seem to continue. And that's actually what inspired my entire mission here of documenting Aliencarvings.com and working with the many families in Mexico that I do to bring this content to you. A lot of people think we just post this content and are replaying it, but the truth is we work very closely with all of these families to understand this history. I've wrote multiple books on that. You can find those in our link in the bio. It's absolutely something that's captivated me to see statues like this of limestone and calcite come out of the ground. The ability to shape and make calcite like this, or make limestone in this fashion with this precision, the amount of tattooing and carvings on it, it's definitely an art of arts for sure. We've seen a lot of people try to make fakes. We've had artisans actually make pieces to try to mimic these, and nothing has ever looked like this. The big thing that never looked the same was the type of stone. This yellow stone you're seeing right here, I'll be posting a large scientific video about the findings of this stone, but it's absolutely indicative to being able to understand what's real and what's not. Every box that we open is a huge surprise. We never know what's going to be inside. The things that we found, ritual items, sundial wristwatches, all kinds of functional tools, occult things, pendulums, ring sets, jewelry, you name it. Seems like a box for everything in this culture. A lot of things are checked for luminescence, as you're seeing here. There's a luminescent material that's applied to these items. We did scientific study to break down what that luminescent material is. As you can see in our videos posted, we went through that. To sum it up, it's bonded onto the stone in a way with a synthetic substance that AI was unable to determine how it was done. They said that using high heat to bond a phosphor powder or a phosphor substance to stone like this would destroy the phosphor qualities, and it wouldn't provide the vibrant glow that it does. So the way it was bonded, and that's just it, this luminescent material, it's bonded via scanning electron microscope and EDS scans. You can visually see on every glowing piece that it is bonded. It is not some sticker. It is not some roll-on. It is physically bonded into the stone. This is a huge breakthrough in understanding these pieces, in my opinion, because AI could not determine that this is a synthetic luminescent material that's being made today. It says it has no record of anything like that in this combination, the way it's put together. But the biggest thing, again, is just the way it's fused to the stone. It doesn't just wash off, and that's why. As you can see, just item after item coming out of this archway. There's a total of 15 items inside as well, and they range from crystal skulls to the large astronaut like you've seen, pyramids like you've seen coming out of here, or that you're watching right now, I should say. This thing weighs about 100 pounds. It's hollow on the inside. How they got it hollow and whatnot also applies to this yellow stone and their forming and shaping of it, and what they were utilizing to get it in this fashion, and what they were applying to the surface to protect it. A lot of these pieces come out of the ground, and people often say, well, they don't look old like you would see in pre-Columbian art. But the reality is pre-Columbian art isn't as old as this. And when you go to the megalithic sites and you look at the oldest blocks in the foundation, you'll notice that they're held up in a way that is impeccable. The fact that they're so old and so big, and how they were moved there, how they were cut, it's been a mystery. It's been a mystery the entire time. Well, likely the mystery lies in the science of these stones and the megalithic sites, trying to get testing done to understand the stone material of the pyramids, to understand the stone walls in Peru, to get these samples to do this testing legitimately. It is extremely tough for scientists. And the scientists who have tried to take it upon themselves to get this research have been ridiculed, canceled, threatened. It's absolutely insane that we don't go get the data. I always wondered in Egypt why it was so, they only allowed you to use primitive tools, and there was no high-end electron. They're clearly trying to prevent us from learning something. The fact that King Tut's tomb was discovered may have been an accident in itself. How Howard came about this and how he was an outsider that came in, I often understand his story and look at his story for inspiration, because I kind of feel the same way sometimes coming into something like this as an outsider, and having these people who are desperate to understand their truth, who are being prevented by their governments from even accepting the history of their ancestors as the truth. When they accept what they find in the ground as reality, they're ridiculed and belittled. And it's really sad to see the history being destroyed, and it has been for a long time with the Crusades and the Conquista. We've known that pagan beliefs have been suppressed, and that's exactly what we're seeing here is pagan material. That's why Saturn is all over it. That's why the Anunnaki are all over it. These are the lesser gods. This is pagan stuff, and the pagan intelligence and pagan ancestors and previous times that it talks about in the Bible and other stories, Enuma Elish, etc., likely all have a place here. And that's what the history is trying to explain to us. It seems like that these stories go deeper and further into history than what we originally knew. What parts of them are true and what parts of them are mythology is still to be debated. But we'll continue to look and continue to try to understand. Thanks again. Till next time.